Welcome back to the War on Truth. Last week, we applied our analytical framework to the JFK assassination, proving that the official narrative only stands if you agree to suspend disbelief in physics and law. Today, we apply that same ruthless logic to the ultimate modern event, September 11th, 2001. When we first began applying our framework to 9/11, I shared the common and understandable skepticism about how two planes could lead to the total collapse of 3 buildings, including the mysterious fall of World Trade Center No. 7. And it is vital to be open-minded and concede facts. After a thorough review of the engineering evidence, it is plausible that the structural mechanics of the collapses can be explained by the official causes. But conceding a fact does not mean giving up the pursuit of justice. The official narrative is a vast web, and solving one thread does not mean the whole thing holds together. True scrutiny of 9/11 demands we move beyond the structural mechanics and focus on the systemic contradictions, the financial black holes, the intelligence failures, and the physical impossibilities that litter the official story. We are not asking what happened in the air, but what happened on the ground, in the balance sheets, and behind the curtain of national security. On September 10th, 2001, the day before the attacks, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld held a press conference. His extraordinary announcement revealed that the Department of Defense could not account for $2.3 trillion in transactions. This was a financial black hole, a staggering sum representing the ultimate theft of public funds. If the government is instituted to secure the rights of the people, the founders warned us against a ruler who commits injuries and usurpations. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. What greater example of eating out our substance is there than $2.3 trillion vanishing into the Pentagon's books? This is our test of errant data. The official 9/11 narrative focuses on 19 hijackers and a cave in Afghanistan. It entirely fails to integrate or re-explain the single, most critical, damning piece of data. Who was responsible for the $2.3 trillion black hole, and what was being hidden? That financial question leads directly to the ultimate contradiction of the day, the attack on the Pentagon. Of the nearly 5,000 people who typically work in that section of building, only 125 were killed. Why? Because the specific area hit by the plane was undergoing renovation and was largely vacant. But the question is not about who was missing, it's about who was not. The offices that were hit housed the Pentagon's audit team, the very individuals tasked with untangling the $2.3 trillion in missing transactions. We apply the test of inference to the best explanation. Does the official narrative that a group of fundamentalists planning a theatrical attack on America's military headquarters coincidentally struck the exact wing that was vacant and housed the audit team responsible for exposing the greatest financial black hole in history? Or does a competing hypothesis explain the evidence with fewer illogical assumptions? Furthermore, the Pentagon is arguably one of the most surveilled buildings on the planet. Yet, while we have abundant video of the planes hitting the Twin Towers, we have almost no clear footage of the aircraft hitting the Pentagon. Thousands of hours of footage from countless cameras were immediately seized, and all that was released were a few grainy, frustrating frames showing essentially nothing but a flash. The founders warned us of a ruler. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has obstructed the administration of justice. The continued withholding of the full, unredacted Pentagon footage is the very definition of obstructing justice, preventing external analysis and making the official claim unfalsifiable by outside experts. Finally, we turn to the men who allegedly carried out the plot, the 19 hijackers. The official story demands we believe in a system of catastrophic, unprecedented incompetence, a sprawling security apparatus paralyzed by a series of isolated, unconnected failures. We reject any theory that demands superhuman incompetence without a motive. We ask the question of scale and plausibility. Why were these individuals, many of whom were known to law enforcement and intelligence agencies, granted visas to enter the United States? Figures like John Brennan, who went on to hold one of the nation's highest intelligence posts, were allegedly involved in granting some of these permissions. Why was the CIA tracking some of these men for years all around the world, only to lose them or fail to share the information that allowed them to take flight lessons and successfully board commercial airplanes in the United States? How does the official narrative explain the simultaneous failure of the FBI, the CIA, the State Department, and the FAA to connect the dots on a group of men whose movements and training were, in retrospect, astonishingly visible? To maintain the narrative that 9/11 was an attack by external actors operating independently, we must believe that the entire apparatus of the American national security state failed because of a coincidence of bureaucratic errors. Or is a competing hypothesis, one that accounts for the Iron Grip's immunity shield, a better explanation? A shield that doesn't just protect criminals, but can deliberately paralyze systems to ensure a high-value operational outcome is achieved. We cannot give our consent to be governed when the facts are intentionally obfuscated. When we are asked to believe that a massive financial audit team was coincidentally annihilated by an act of terror, when we are asked to accept a few grainy frames over thousands of hours of seized video footage, when we are asked to believe that the entire national security state suffered a simultaneous catastrophic failure in tracking known agents of terror, we are being asked to suspend disbelief. This season, we are fighting the war on truth. We are providing the tools to reclaim your consent and demand that our government adhere to the highest standard, the mandate of justice. Join us next time as we take our framework and apply it to a deeply divisive social issue, the alleged vaccines autism link.